Hello and welcome back to the vlog. Right, so much in this vlog today, so we're gonna get stuck right into it. This vlog is all about the NIKE ZoomX Invincible running shoe. I had a couple of options. As you know from kind of looking back over this channel, I've done a review about the NIKE Pegasus, kind of like a first impressions review, but also kind of talking about what I'm going to be using it for. Probably around 300 miles into the shoe, and before I go any further, I will say that the rubber at the bottom of the shoe does not look like it's actually suffered any kind of usage whatsoever. So you can tell the NIKE Pegasus is going to take a lot of wear. This was my long running shoe. Moving away from this onto the main topic of today's video, the NIKE ZoomX Invincible running shoe. Now, it's got ZoomX foam in it, which is saved only to, I think, a few of Nike's really high-level shoes. At one point they had a Pegasus Turbo shield. They had the ZoomX foam in it, and I do believe I've got the shield here. There we are. That had the ZoomX in it there. I'm not sure if you can see that, which was my first experience of running on ZoomX without there being a carbon plate in the shoe, hence the Vaporfly and the Alphafly. With the shoe reviews, I've kind of stuck to 5 main points, and that's what I really want to cover here before I start comparing this bad boy to the Pegasus. Point number 1, is it fit for purpose? I think on that, I mean, if I was giving it a ranking out of 5 or out of 10, I would literally say 5 out of 5, 9.8 out of 10. In terms of fit for purpose, it's a weird one because I feel like I want to compare it to the Pegasus. I've never felt any kind of pain coming off a run. I remember when I was doing the long runs in my Vaporfly, there was a lot of pain there. There's a video specifically about that. When I was doing kind of longer runs in the Pegasus, I started to feel in my right foot, I could feel the airbag almost rubbing against my foot, and it just felt really uncomfortable. I did hill sprints in the NIKE Free, and I started to develop a little bit of a knee issue there actually. But actually, no, with this shoe, so far, touch wood, haven't felt a thing. So if it comes to fit for purpose, feels quite a nice light shoe. In terms of comfort, we're talking about that ZoomX foam. I think, I'll be honest, when I put this thing on the first time, I thought, oh God, I'm a heavy guy, okay? So I weigh above 80 kilos, I'm currently sat at around 85. When I first put this shoe on and I sunk into that ZoomX foam, I thought to myself, oh, I do not need to be running on sponges. With this shoe, when I first put it on, I felt my feet sink into that ZoomX foam, and I really worried about it. Good news is, while you're running, even at a slow pace, or when I'm walking in it or anything like that, I do not feel that sinking feeling. And then when you're running at speeds, it performs. The shoe really does perform. So in terms of comfort, yes, 100%. I really like this shoe for comfort. Functionality. So, I mean, walking around with the shoe, using it, you know, for a gym workout, for example, not just for running. I think because Nike have invested so much in that safety or injury-free side, they've made it quite wide. And I think you can see kind of how wide it is. In terms of functionality, it is functional. You could go for a long walk in it and it'd be stupid comfortable. You could wear a nice pair of jeans. But I mean, in terms of going to the gym in it, would this be your go-to gym shoe? I wouldn't personally, but I don't think there's any reason why you wouldn't. I mean, in terms of functionality, out of a score of 5, I'd probably give it a 3.5, 4. Just because I do think you can use it for a lot of stuff, but for me, it's an exclusive running shoe. Durability. This is where, in my opinion, the Vaporfly really struggled. I had done less than 200 miles and the rubber started coming off the soles, and I know I'm a heel runner, I'm not the most technical runner, plus I'm heavy as well. But with this, what I'm starting to see is that the rubber at the bottom there, it's all over the shoe. Now, it doesn't need to be all over the shoe, and I feel like for future generations of this shoe, they're gonna like kind of play around with the rubber at the bottom here to save some weight, as well as a lot of other areas they're gonna save some weight. But in terms of durability, I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of Pegasus level. This is different in that there is a lot of it. It's not that thick of a layer, so potentially the durability is gonna be questionable there, but I'd be surprised if this shoe doesn't hold up to more than 500 miles. If anything, it's probably going to be that pop or that feeling you get out of the ZoomX foam that kind of goes before anything else. But yes, in terms of durability, I do feel like this is 400 to 600 mile shoe, absolutely. And finally, price. Now, with a lot of Nike shoes, you'd be lucky to get anything for less than £100. The Alphafly and the Vaporfly, they were well in excess of £200. So when I saw this coming out, I was wondering where Nike were going to take their pricing strategy with this shoe. It's currently at around £160, £170 in the UK. That's quite expensive, personally, for me, for an everyday runner, especially when you've got the Pegasus that's kind of ranging at about £110. But having run in this shoe for a while, I think it's a price worth paying, personally. Obviously, that's going to be down to the individual. Now, here's where we get a little bit subjective. I think this shoe, and ultimately whether you like this shoe or not, comes down to you as an individual, and there is literally so many people talking about shoes on YouTube that they're going out for an easy run at 6-minute miles. That for me would be a ridiculous PB, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, they're just ridiculously good runners. But when they kind of review shoes, I feel like I can't really relate to that because I'm not that good. And I'm a lot heavier than them. So I do feel like these shoes need someone a little bit on the heavier side to review them. This shoe versus the Pegasus. Now, this is kind of the topic of the video, right? My Pegasus has run its course. I'm not going to be doing more runs in the Pegasus. I'll probably save this for brick sessions, so just off the bike on a Saturday. It's a really nice, comfortable shoe, and I have had some mishaps with kind of the lock-in of the forefoot there, and my foot's gone completely numb, but that's a me problem, that's not a shoe problem. But I think it's generally an amazing shoe that if you are looking at getting into running for the first time and that budget is a concern, then the Pegasus, which is, you know, still £100 plus shoe, could be a definitely good entry level shoe, but also quite light, and that durability, that's going to last for a long time. How it compares to the ZoomX. Now, sorry, not the ZoomX, the Invincible. Personally for me, I love using that excuse, right? Something went wrong that wasn't my fault, I don't want to do this anymore. Unfortunately, which is also a positive, I haven't had that in the NIKE Invincible. I've never had any foot pain. I've never been forced to come down to a walk. I'm able to commit 100% to all sessions, and it's completely down to me now, but also a bad thing in that I don't have an excuse to bottle it. It's not going to be a race shoe by any means because obviously it's not light, it doesn't have a carbon plate in it, and that's kind of all the hype at the moment when it comes to race shoes. This for me is going to be my go-to running shoe for all long workouts. For me, this purchase was a 10 out of 10. If I kind of went back in time, knowing what I know now, would I buy this shoe again? Without a doubt, 100%. Now, if I was coming into the market for the first time, knowing what I know about the Pegasus and the Invincible, and I was forced to pick one of these two shoes, knowing what I know, a couple of things would come into mind. Firstly, budget, first and foremost. If it was down to budget, the Pegasus would win. That's a no-brainer. £105 odd versus £160, £170. When it comes to, you know, actual performance, durability, I think just kind of the style of the shoe as well, and how it looks, and that ZoomX foam as well. I think the winner in this situation for me is the NIKE Invincible. And if I had a wardrobe full of shoes, which I'm quite close to at this bloody point, and for a long run session, I needed to choose a shoe that I would feel confident in, that, you know, it's almost like second nature, like I don't even want to think about it, I'd be reaching for this shoe, I think, 10 out of 10 times. It's a really comfortable shoe, it's really snappy, it's really responsive, and you do feel that ZoomX, it's brilliant. I mean, that wide forefoot really gives you good balance across tight corners, any turns or anything like that. But at the same time, obviously, you kind of sacrifice a little bit of ground feel just based on how thick that ZoomX actually is, and they've packed a lot of it in here. It's just a super comfortable shoe. I think for me, this shoe is a winner. Cool. I mean, the Invincible versus the Pegasus, has to be said, the Invincible wins on all categories bar pricing. That's kind of a give and take, and a budget is a very, very personal thing. And for me, going forward, I think this is definitely going to be my long run shoe. Now that I've had experience of both of the Pegs and the Invincibles, I think future iterations of either of the products, I'll probably be reaching out for the Invincibles. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really happy with this shoe. For me, kind of overall, it gets a strong 9 and a very, very good 9 out of 10. I'm not a super, super fast runner, so for me, comfort and just making sure, ultimately, my safety in terms of injury is of the utmost importance. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Any kind of questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer those. If you haven't done yet, please do subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Speak soon.